Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the lab. We hope everyone enjoyed Easter and had a wonderful time with family. Um, I know I did. Uh, for today's episode, what we're going to talk about, I've been wanting to hash this out one a little bit, but only until recently did I get into the list of things we haven't talked about yet. But today, we were going to talk about the differences and the importance, and also maybe the risks of active recovery versus rest. So, some people I know. We get into the mindset of, more is better, so we're in the gym all the time. We think that when we're spending time out of the gym, we're losing our gains, we're not making any progress. Well, that's actually counterintuitive. If you think about it, when you are in there all the time, it's just constant breakdown. You're really not giving your body any time to actually like build itself back up. So to put some definitions to active recovery, right? You're thinking it's basically you're engaging in some form of low intensity exercise or movement or maybe aerobic training that basically is to aid your recovery process. So you're still training just at a lesser intensity. Um, so we'll kind of go into how maybe there's some benefits to that, right? So well, let's do the definition for just rest. Obviously, so it's literally just complete elimination of physical and mental stimulus. There's basically it's basically complete relaxation. You have no stimulus, there's no physical planned activity. You're not lifting weights, you're not going for a run, maybe a walk if it's low intensity. But basically you're not hitting any kind of like exercise stimulus. No weights, no sprints, no sleds. But so the benefits of active recovery. Let's go through benefits and then we can kind of hash out maybe the risks together. So the benefits of active recovery, right? So it's going to promote blood flow, right? So if you're feeling really sore, you go for like a light run, you do a light bike ride, you're going to improve blood flow to the muscles. You're going to basically help in aiding the removal of waste because you're stimulating the blood flow. So basically just kind of getting all of the waste products out of there. Um, some people will say that, you know, lactic acid buildup. I don't necessarily believe it's truly lactic acid buildup, but I mean that's a discussion for a whole other day. I'm sure Brandon could get on a soapbox about that one.
Not that, I can tell you that.
But it can
That's been
also
a
help
lie.
with the what?
So that's been a lie your coach has been telling you for God knows how long.
No, I just wanted to get a rise out of somebody. Um, but besides just bringing blood flow, you're also going to elevate, body temperature. So increase blood flow, reduce muscle soreness and stiffness. Maybe you go through like a little mobility program, help with some of the flexibility and range of motion. But then also it keeps you more psychologically engaged and maybe progressive toward your goals. You might think you're continuing to make progress, even though you're maybe not using the same intensity that would continue to make progress. But it kind of keeps you in the gym if that's your mental stimulus. With rest, the benefits is that basically you're allowing the body to actually 110% recover, or put its efforts towards recovery. Maybe not like be as efficient as possible if you're not eating, sleeping, and hydrating as possible. Um, it also helps with you're also not adding to your overall training volume. So there's a lot of different things with that. Where like with active recovery, training is training. Your body doesn't know the difference, so it's going to be able to continue to compound with the active recovery. But if you're just resting, you're not adding to that overall training volume. I'm not gonna lie, Trotter, that's making me really hungry right now. Son of a gun. I'm
It's
so
pretty cool.
I'm so jealous. Um, and then last but not least, you're not going to be, hindering some of those energy systems because you're not training. So you're not going to be taking away from the stores that you would have for those different systems. We could talk about a little bit more on that. So risks. Let's hash out some risks here. So between like active recovery and rest, what would be like maybe the lack of benefits with one or the other? Like I already talked about like the the volume stuff. So what have you guys seen? Like when is the best time to utilize like active recovery for your like the kids versus just you need a complete rest? What have you guys done with the kids so far?
Depends on the kid, depends on the sport. A lot of kind of different variables. I mean, if you got like a baseball guys and they got well, I mean, if you're in Ohio, you realize that it's been raining, it seems like for 40 days and 40 nights. So they've had a lot of cancellations. We've been able to kind of crank it up a little bit, but they're about to go into a bunch of rescheduling. So they might play 4, 5, 6 days in a row. I mean, you might have double headers and then turn into a 4 or 5 game streak. So definitely take advantage of, like, they can get in maybe early mornings or even after a game, kind of take advantage of some either late active recovery or even do some like prime movement stuff. So I mean, it's kind of the same thing. It's all about getting, just because it's before the game, it's not might necessarily be like the recovery aspect of it, but it's still has the same benefits. You still want to get the blood flow going. You still want to kind of loosen up the joints, things like that. So the concept of it's kind of the same, but usually after they got a big streak of games, we try to maximize that active recovery or just have them just take the day off. So
Okay.
Yeah, I think it depends on the athlete too.
Mhm.
Like you have to kind of understand like who the athlete is. If there's somebody that just go 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 go, usually a rest day is like what they need the most, especially if they an injury or something like that. Active recovery, it just kind of depends. I mean, are you recovering from a not hard workout or a not much effort in a game? So like you can get away with a little bit more kind of thing there too.
Makes sense.
also depends on
But
the training level, training status of the kid too.
yeah,
I mean, if he's a higher end level training athlete, you can kind of crank it up a little bit.
yeah,
So.
Okay. I know one of the things like the noting, I think that would be like before you even get into like the training status of the people or even um training age, I guess I could say it would be like what do they have on their recovery scale besides just like the workout stuff for active recovery. So like I know I'm gonna harp on this again, like, but like, are you taking enough calories to sustain the output that you're already putting into your games, let alone practice and weight in season weight training? I mean, we've already talked about in season weight training at a length for quite a few months now. I definitely think that if you're not eating properly, active recovery probably not the best idea for you. And like you were already saying, Trotter, like just resting is probably much better. I know was talking to one of the Sydney high school baseball players, and they had like 8 games in a week. I was like, why on earth do you guys have 8 games? And he's like, it's just been pouring. Like all the games have just been getting rained out, which kind of sucks because I mean, then you go throwing. I mean, you go pitching a few times, and all of a sudden things don't maybe feel quite so great after you've had so many games in a row. But so that I mean, I agree. Frequency of the games is probably right now not so great. Um, how they been doing with track and everything still going well? I know one of the
yeah.
Miami track meet,
Canceling it, yeah,
yeah, and then they moved it to Monday, didn't they? It's like March
yeah.
24th. Um, so that all sucks. I mean, weather's been playing a one of the three things Brandon Weirick has stated we cannot
Hey,
control. You know,
a lot of the not so educated track coaches, okay, if me got canceled, we're gonna freaking go pound the shit out of your body on the track or on in the school hallway floor where it's just pure concrete, and so now all of a sudden shin splints are kicking in. You go from a somewhat moderately decent running volume to like, okay, meet got canceled. Now our next meet, 4 days off, so we're gonna jack the shit out of this running volume, and then no one's ready for that. I mean, no one's ready for 9 300s. I don't care who you are.
oh gosh, that sounds miserable. I'm not gonna lie. Pass.
That's just part one.
Yeah.
Part one.
Yeah, it was like 9 300s and like 6 250s, and it was
3 200s or 3 150s or 360 flies.
yeah, it's a lot.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Workout's only as benefit as what you can recover from. So
True. So like we already said, if you're not sleeping, eating enough, hydrating, I mean, active recovery is probably not going to be your best bet. Um, hmm. Rest, on the other hand, I mean, complete rest. I mean, if you're resting too long as well, there can be a detriment to resting too long. Um, like you take too much time away from a stimulus, and then all of a sudden you can begin to detrain too. But then you got to like that. There's always that fine line, and like that's the role of the coach, right? Is to kind of like monitor and kind of see are we maintaining a certain level of stimulus, or are we taking it away too long, and then we have a detraining effect. I mean, you guys are constantly keeping them in the realm of progress, but at the same time keeping them from injury or trying to keep them from injury as much as possible. Um,
I don't know if Brandon uses this as a tester, if you will, but whenever we have like the in-season kids coming in for like a little prime day or like an active rest, and we're doing the banded trap bar, like I solely base the next move that they're about to do on that bar speed and like how explosive and like getting after, I guess. That didn't make any sense. But yeah, that's how I look at it. Cause then it's like, okay, your body's not going to really like you through your mouth or through your teeth can lie to me and say that you feel great. But then, you know, you're grinding out 50% of your max. So your body's telling me something else. So we need to kind of make an adjustment and go more to just recoveries.
Yeah, I can kind of see that more in like their sprint. Like I try to get my season guys into sprint at least 1 to 2 times a week, either be at max acceleration or like a max velocity. So you can, whether it be on the treadmill or whether it be just normal acceleration, you can definitely tell when someone's, you know, it's not there.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of good to have though, because you use that you said a banded trap bar deadlift, or what is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that'd be kind of similar to like who was it, Cam or Abby was talking about they use like a max vert, and then based off that they have like A, B, or C plans that they go off of based off the athlete's recovery.
Like Yale, Abby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. I mean, you're getting an insight into like muscle wise, how are they performing, you know, neurologically. Like, are we primed, ready to go? Or are we lagging behind a little bit? Smart. I actually like that a lot, Trotter. What made you want to start using that? Like what was like the, oh yeah, we should definitely look into that.
It was actually Brandon, part of Brandon's like little game day prime that he does.
Mhm.
But I just looked at it like in a different way. Like, okay, well, this can be something visually that we as coaches can monitor and make the adjustments from there. I mean, at the end of the day, like that's why we are professionals, is to be able to switch in and out and alter things when needed for different athletes and different injuries and different games, different sports. Because I mean, yeah, I don't know, on any given day, we could have 5 kids in a row come up to ask us a question. They all play a different sport. They're all built different. They're all different ages, you know. So we're constantly flipping back and forth because there's nothing worse than giving I don't know, a professional level variation to a 9-year-old by accident.
Oh my gosh. That would not be good.
Yeah, there was really no rhyme or reason. I just saw it as like a very good tester and something that they can build.
I like that a lot. Have you guys ever used like the VertiPad, or was it Vertimax, VertiPad?
When kids decide to turn the battery off and it's not dead.
Which is constant right now. It's constantly dead. We can't buy batteries fast enough.
Oh my gosh. That's not good.
Yeah, we have to up their memberships, be able to afford the batteries.
And 6 volts hit different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know so much about like active recovery, but for like rest, like if the kid just gets injured, it's just like anything else. Like they're in the acute phase of the recovery. So like they actually need to let the body recover and repair a little bit. I think like a good analogy that I use, and it could be wrong, but an injury, like, you know, let's say you roll your ankle or something like that, you might as well just have like a little small cut in your hand or on your arm. Like it's not going to heal overnight. It's going to heal from the inside out. So like you can't just keep ripping the scab back off trying to get back in there before like you're ready, because then all of a sudden it starts, you know, hypothetically bleeding again, or your ankle's messed up again.
That's a good point.
It's better to take a week off than have an ankle, I don't know, drag along for 4 or 5 weeks for the whole season. Just take your step back, let it heal. You'll be better because of it. And it's the worst hearing that as the athlete, but it makes sense now that I'm older.
Trials and tribulations of Alex Trotter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
I guess when you're a younger athlete, it's kind of hard to be aware like that. So I mean, you know, open communication with the coach, open communication with like the, you know, strength conditioning coach as well. I guess big takeaway from here is that sometimes it's hard to be aware of that. So don't be afraid to communicate. The other thing about that is that as you get better at this, and you kind of know, like, okay, I do this, my body feels like this. I do this for so long, I feel like this tomorrow. So it's like start kind of connecting the dots between what your training is like and how you feel later. And you'll have way more, yeah, I guess, a better insight into how you're recovering overall, let alone what your training is doing to you breakdown wise. Um, I mean, you could look a little bit more into like the fitness trackers, like the Whoop, like the Fitbit, stuff like that, and that can give you a general overview, like with hate rate, geez and Pete, heart rate variability. Your resting heart rate, your breathing rate when you're sleeping, just to kind of see like how worn down you are. So there's a lot of different variables and metrics that you can utilize just to kind of see how you are neurologically. I would even say physically. I mean, if you're not sleeping well, good luck recovery wise. Um,
Tough.
especially yeah,
Yeah.
especially especially when you get sick. Um, oh, knock on wood, gosh, I don't want to get sick right now. But you'll start seeing like the changes in those metrics. So like when you get sick, you're gonna start seeing more of an elevated heart rate. So you'll know that like, oh, like I'm definitely not at my baseline. Like there's gonna be that drastic change there. You're not eating enough. Your energy levels are gonna be absolutely in the tank. You work out, you're gonna feel significantly worse. So like these are little things, little insights your body is telling you. You just gotta listen. So like just start kind of paying attention to those. Keep a journal, whatever you need to do, do something. Um, but anything else you guys want to touch on? Other than that, I think we pretty much nailed the active recovery versus rest. I mean,
Say
talk
probably
to-
the last thing is active recovery wise, depending when you start getting in like the in-season athletes, is when you kind of start getting a little bit more joint specific with the sport. So like baseball players, we spend a little bit more time with the shoulders and scaps. Track athletes spend a little bit more time with the ankles and knees and the hips, things like that. So
yeah, sports specific. Sports specific, Brandon. Ooh.
I said joint specific.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I tried to call you out on it. I guess not.
I, I knew what I was saying.
Joint specific for the sport. I'll let you have
I mean,
it.
I'm gonna do my active recovery. I'm gonna do the basically the same thing I do with the volleyball players I do with a baseball athlete,
Yeah. It's all overhead athlete.
tennis player, and volleyball, baseball. I mean, they're all doing the same shit.
Yep.
I thought I had you for a second there.
I knew what I was getting into.
I tried. I tried. Oh well, that was advocate. Game on. No, well, we hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If there's any topics in particular you guys want to get into, please let us know and we'll be glad to hash it out, argue it. But we will see you guys in the next episode. Take care.